All right. Are you one of those people that sits around and looks at all the listings on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids? Well, you found the right YouTube channel. This is where we analyze those listings and we make predictions. What will happen as a result of those listings? This is Bid Nerds. Join the herd. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. What's up, nerds? This is JP. I'll be your host out of the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. Way over on the far side of the screen is my partner, Michael Deeb, and in the middle, that is exactly who you think it is. That is a famous person, an actual expert. We don't know why he's here. Zack, thanks for joining us from the Smoking Tire. What the heck is going on?
How you doing, guys?
Welcome,
Thank
Zack.
you very much for having me. Yeah, thank you. I will admit up front, I am not an expert in car prices or used car trading prices, so that is my way of getting out of inaccurate predictions.
That's just fine, because neither are we, even though we've been doing this for way too long. All right, guys, if you are new to the show, that's what we do. We analyze listings, and you can play along. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. That's the folks who are watching live right now. We love you guys. Thanks for being here with us every Wednesday and Sunday night. I'm sure you're as excited as we are to have such a great guest. All right, let's get right to it. Oh, you know what? I do need to shout out. I know we try to save this stuff for the middle of the show, but our good friend Chris Carbine from Carbine Motor Cars in New Orleans, he is such a fan of the show. He bought us a car. I got a text today and, I said, oh, okay, I got to go to the parking lot. I got to meet this guy. The truck is here. We have in our possession the Cannonball winning VinWiki Ed Bullion. What is it? S55 Mercedes. Yeah. What a clapped out piece of crap, but it is awesome. I drove it down Vegas Boulevard, and we'll be sharing more about that soon. So stay tuned for that. We have the car. How amazing is that, Zach, right?
Yeah.
That is rad. Does it still have the giant fuel tank in the back? They didn't have a big.
It does. It's like 70 gallons, and it still has the screens on the dashboard, and it still smells like the sweat of all those bastards that were riding around with for however many thousands of miles. It is not a pretty place to be, but it does feel special. I will say that. All right, we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But let's get to it. Let's get to the predictions. We always start off every episode by reconciling our predictions from the last episode. That's right. We hold ourselves accountable. That's weird on the internet, but we do it anyway. What's the first car on the list, Michael D?
All right, JP, we are going to circle right back to the 2010 Porsche 911 997.2 Carrera 4S Coupe with a 6-speed manual that was listed on P-Car Market just a few days ago. Now, this particular car, JP, although it has what we would consider a domestic VIN, this is a Canadian car up there in Chilliwack, British Columbia, out there in Canada, showing 91,000 kilometers. JP, as you and I and most of the Nerd Herd really know well, the 997.2 S anything with a 6-speed manual is a hot commodity. The big question here, JP, is not about the car, but about the fact that it's across the border. Would tariffs kill the deal? Would P-Car Market kill the deal? Would these terrible photos kill the deal? Certainly quite a few hurdles for this seller to overcome on the road to the sale. But without further ado, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a C4S Coupe manual of the 997.2 variety is typically bringing $70,000 in the secondary market. JP, for all the reasons I just quickly blurred over, I thought that our car would have a chance to fail to sell at $45,997, and thinking that this guy is probably looking for a number quite a bit higher than that, despite the tariffs that are in his way. John, believe it or not, you were a bit more bearish on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going right to the number already. I thought you were so excited to give P-Car Market a hard time. Go ahead, continue. My bad. I actually just needed an excuse to check audio.
Yeah, I'm the gentle one. JP's bid underneath mine at just $40,000 even. And then we had Ryan Friedman of Ryan Friedman Motor Cars join us as third nerd all the way from the East Coast. He was a great sport. And despite understanding the tariff conundrum, he still thought this car had a chance to hammer at a much more respectable $67,500. So, Zach, welcome to the show. We are going to throw you to the fire. C4S's, actually, let's say 9972 manuals are hot right now in the secondary market. This car, word on our shores, would certainly bring something in that high 60s to 70s and $80,000 range. But this car being in Canada, we kind of all agree to sort of DOA. So what do you think this car might have hammered for just a couple of days ago as it closed on P-Car Market?
I just saw the last two photos you showed. It looked like it had clear coat peeling off or something. Is there rust on this car anywhere? Or
what it was is they had it wrapped, and when they removed the wrap, they damaged the paint. So they did paint correction and re-clear coated the car, and they disclosed all of that, which was very kind.
Okay, so we have a re-cleared car that will maybe subject to tariffs, and the tariffs seem to keep changing. So someone's really taking a gamble, and
we concluded that the tariff is roughly 25%.
Okay, but there's a little bit of headache. I'll go 34,000 US.
Hey, that is not a bad bid. Taking the under when P-Car Market is involved is never a bad strategy. Our car did do surprisingly well by hammering at $50,250. But of course, it failed to sell at that number on 18 bids. They received an offer just minutes after the hammer that brought the current offer on the listing up to $55. But the car remains available in what they used to call the deal tank. We always called it the chum bucket. Now they call it marketplace. And that number, Zach, I hope you're sitting down, is $70,000 for a re-cleared car that's still sitting in Canada. So, JP, I'm going to open with you. The easy $55,000 question is, should they have taken the $55,000?
And ran to the border. Look, this guy, I mean, there's only 41 million people in Canada, and with a 25% tariff, I mean, how many people out of that 41 million want this car? And we also saw photos where it looked like it started having bore scoring, and it's great that they disclosed that, but they didn't really talk about it. They just kind of threw the photos in the bucket, and it's like, what is going on with this car? It's just, I don't know, between the bad platform and all this weird information, I think this thing was DOA. We kind of talked about it on the last episode. Zach, what's your take on the results?
Well, I mean, I cheated. I looked at another auction website really quick, and because to try to sell, you have to sell that in Canada. You can't sell it to Americans because the tariff is there. There's too many questions. It's been re-cleared.
Bingo.
There are plenty of 4S's, S's, all with manuals with totally decent mileage all over the auction sites for 76 and under. In some cases, the car is sold for the same price that this person was offered. So, sometimes the seller they really need to extract every dollar out of a car, but it kind of can keep them from getting any dollars out of the car.
Good take. Yep. Now, do you make the distinction that this is a .2 and that there's a significant difference in the value necessarily between the two generations, or do you think that's less significant? What do you think?
I think it's still significant. I mean, I searched .2, and they definitely have a bunch of improvements, but I just think, like you said, the country has 40 million people. How many are shopping for this car right now? You no longer can really sell across borders as easily as you could a year ago. So with all those question marks, people are going to throw in low bids because they literally don't know what the price will be when they bring it into the United States. I know right now it's 25%. Maybe it's been solidified, but earlier this year, people were dealing with tariff amounts that were changing like every week. So if that happens again, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things it's like you just kind of wait around and see what happens, and we've got a gap, let's do it, let's take care of it. But yeah, I mean, and then you got to talk, there's the duty on top of the tariff, and then there's shipping to get it. I mean, it's to get this car anywhere into the country, it's going to be another few $1,000s. I just don't know why P-Car Market as a platform continues to waste everyone's time. They just should have said no to this listing. I mean, it's just too much of a mess. or at least they should have only taken this if they had made sure that the seller had a reasonable reserve and had reasonable expectations. But knowing that the guy wanted 70 grand, just why bother? You're just wasting everyone's time. But what do you guys think of the result of this auction? Do you think the owners should have taken that money, or what do you think of the tariffs and all that stuff? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to the next car. What do we got, Deeb?
All right, JP, we are going to check into Cars and Bids because they were peddling a 2024 Mercedes-AMG G63 that has been kitted out by the folks at Brabus, and they've created a Widestar. But it gets better, Zach. Again, I hope you have a vomit bag next to you on this flight because this car has a Tiffany blue interior. And as it turns out, the seller is a girl, which I don't know why that was relevant, but most of these cars, I think, were owned by men. And this one was offered by a young lady. This car has, let's see, JP, 22,000 miles. It is on a clean Ohio title. And Kristen Elizabeth is our seller of the beautiful polar white with Tiffany blue interior. So she is ready to part with her car. She brought it to Doug DeMiro's site, and we had a little bit of a chuckle because it is very ostentatious, but man, it is, boy, does it just scream nouveau riche. All right, so our car, according to classic.com, these kitted out G63s by like Brabus and stuff, tend to bring $274,000 in the secondary market. So that's the Brabus G63. I thought our car had a chance to get to $250,000, but I thought that this car would fall short of Classic's number, and I imagined that the seller was hoping that they'd get 300 or more. So my 250 was sort of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that it would be a FTS, failure to sell. JP took the over by just a couple of bucks at $255,000. And Ryan Friedman of Ryan Friedman Motor Cars on the East Coast, he joined us remotely as third nerd. His bid decidedly under mine at just $240,000. So, Zach, any love for the G-Wagons? Have you driven one? Do you own one? What do you think of those? I've never owned one, but JP's best friend in the whole wide world has let me drive his modified G63 on numerous occasions, and I am not ashamed to admit I absolutely love driving it because it's just a modern muscle car. It's unbelievable. This one, probably not my taste, but what do you think of the G? And throw a bid at this car with the Tiffany blue interior, please.
I think once they updated the G steering from the old box to more modern rack and pinion, it became a much more livable car. The old ones, and I mean only like 10 years old, were so bad on the highway that I just didn't understand why people spent all the money for them. I know, parked, they're cool, idling around town. They have an image and they have a great sound, but they were just terrible SUVs, unless you're off-roading, which none of them in Los Angeles ever do. Right. Now the new ones, if you're sitting in the front, they're actually great, comfortable cars. If you're sitting in the back, you better be short. Brabus, this is hilarious. This is like, well, Fartcoin's a bad idea, but this is like buying an NFT. Brabus, their stuff costs a ton of money new, and it just depreciates a lot. I mean, all this stuff is just so garish. But I will say shout out to someone for doing an original color inside, although I think it will hurt the resale of this because it is kind of like feminine colors inside. It's cool. I bet it's done well. So I'm going to go 228. I'm going to go under.
228. All right. That's not a bad bid. Again, Barish is our guest tonight, JP. Our car hammered for $251,000. Zach, in bid nerd speak, I missed a Yahtzee by $1,000. Our car did, in fact, fail to sell on just 16 bids. So, JP, all four of our reviews tonight are under 20 bids. Very low bid count now, a couple of weeks after Car Week. I don't know if there's something there or just the luck of the weird cars we drew on this last show. JP, my opening question to you is going to be simply this. Right now, my social media feed of marketing and bull stuff is, NBA basketballs and Rolex watches, all with a Tiffany blue theme. I feel like this is the color of this summer with regards to whatever's happening with the, cross-pollination of marketing and stuff like that. I don't think this girl's way out of bounds with having a car that's white with a Tiffany blue interior. So my question to you, JP, is Would this car with better assets have brought more money on Bring a Trailer or a live auction? What do you think? Or was 251 all this boat anchor's ever going to bring, and she should have taken the money? Where are you at on the result versus the potentiality of, maybe the only one with that color leather?
The OnlyFans model that was selling this should have just put it on her channel, and she would have found way more people who would have been interested in this vehicle than on Cars and Bids. I mean, Doug DeMuro's platform is just not the place where OnlyFans models are going to shop for cars. And that's the only person that's buying this thing. And you know what? This is one of these things I never noticed about the Brabus, and it's really, it's one of my biggest car pet peeves. But Zach, I don't know if you noticed this or not, and maybe you can tell me if I'm looking at it wrong, but this intake, this grill on the hood, it looks like it's just blocked off. It's like purely for show. Like there is no airflow there, right?
That's what it looks like. I have not seen one of these up close, but Brabus, they were early to the put carbon on everything everywhere game. But now that you can go on eBay and literally get carbon fiber parts for so cheap, I feel like I'm always shocked that this game is still working. And I like Brabus for their crazy engine swaps, but aesthetically, they're not my taste, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the automotive equivalent of a lie to have fake air ducts that just don't go anywhere. It just drives me nuts. It's like something you would expect to see in a Challenger. All right, what do you guys think of the results? Actually, what do you think of this result on this particular car, Zach? I don't know if we actually asked you that.
Assuming the interior is done, I think the interior is cool if you're into that color. Take off all the carbon, take off all the other stuff. It might actually have been worth more money, because what people see obviously first is the outside of the car, and that might have turned away a lot of bidders. It's a very specific style, and I don't think the secondhand market for these is ever very good. I'm honestly shocked that it got bid as high as it did. Obviously I did underbid, but I am shocked.
Crazy. All right. Well, there it is. Get out there and advertise this on the OnlyFans page, and they'll get all the money. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to the next vehicle. What do we got?
All right, JP, we're going to take a look at a 2024 Porsche 911 Dakar that was running as a premium listing on Bring a Trailer. Our car out of Lake Forest, Illinois, on a clean Illinois title, is showing delivery miles, just 48 miles from new. The things that set this car off to me, JP, one, the Rothman's Rough Roads livery, which is hot. It does have the carbon bucket seats, which is also hot. And then this car comes with the one and only really big option, which is that big basket on the roof. I think it's the Rally design package, which is about almost 30 grand. And so when you look at these cars in the secondary market, JP, it's a little bit like a Dr. Seuss book. It's either with or without the Rally design package on the roof. And there tends to be a quantifiable expectation or premium for the cars that have it. In other words, if you're going to go Dakar, go full Dakar. You can't go half Dakar. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, JP, very nice car, halfway decent presentation. They got a premium listing. There was a time earlier in the years, I don't know if it was in the Porsche cycle or if it had more to do with the the stock market at large, but Dakars were struggling to bring 300 grand. This one to me has all three of the, consumable pieces. One of the special liveries, the buckets, and the Rally design, and it had delivery miles. So I thought for sure this car would break 300 grand. JP, our friends at Classic.com tell us that these cars are bringing $323,000 in the secondary market. My bid, $332,000. Your bid, 10 grand over me at $342,911. And Ryan Friedman from Ryan Friedman Motor Cars, good sport, joined us as third nerd, confessed that he has never sold a Dakar, which I was shocked. With all the special Porsches that guy pedals, I'm stunned that a Dakar has not transacted through his shop. But there you have it. $355,000. He liked this vehicle enough to go high bidder on the day. Zach, what do you think of this whole Porsche meets the all-road collaboration? Does the Dakar do it for you or not? And slap a bid on a delivery miles example that ticks all the collectible boxes. Where are you at on this car?
I've driven a Dakar, and it had the Rough Roads livery, and it had all this stuff on it, and it is such a fun car. If someone is fortunate enough to own one, take it outside, take it in the dirt, take it in the snow, like drive it the way it's meant to be driven, because it is super capable, and it's also really good on tarmac. Just a good time. I think the hunger for rare, cool Porsches just continues to grow. You know, there's too many people with silver 911s or silver GT3s. Like, this is a way to stand out. I think the buyers of these things want to stand out. So I think this would go close to what your friend estimated. Like, this would be like 315, 320. They didn't make that many of them, really, and they're rad. So
give us one of those two numbers as your bid, Zach.
320, no, 315.
315. Okay, you should have stuck to your first instinct. Our car hammered for $320,000. Zach, that would have been your first win if you were on the last show, but you weren't, so there's no consolation prize. You'll have to pay for your swag. Our car sold, JP, at that number on 19 bids. Considering we were all over the Classic.com average, and this car was right on the Classic.com average, what do you think, JP? Well bought, well sold? Where are you at on that result? I mean, it kind of did what it was supposed to do.
I'm with Zach. It's like, if you own something like this, use it. I just really have a problem with these collectors that buy this stuff and just, I mean, look, you would have done better if you bought Bitcoin or gold or any stock or any, I mean, it's just, you're just wasting space if you're going to buy this car and just let it sit. This should be in the hands of someone that's actually going to enjoy it, and hopefully the new owner is that. I mean, when we had Adam Carolla on Cars Unknown, he said it. He's like, with these people that collect these cars and don't drive them, it's like, hey, you date a supermodel, you ever bang her? And it's like, nah, I'm just saving her for the next guy, wiping her down with a diaper. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing in the world. What are you doing? I do think it was interesting, though, that this car, it got to $305,000, and then the seller noted that the car had met reserve. Or that the reserve was lifted. So the expectation of the seller was not that it would bring this extra money. So that's kind of cool. Or at least we could say that the seller had reasonable expectations. Zach, what do you think of that result? And what do you think of that result?
It makes sense, but it also bums me out because these are so fun, and they were trading way above MSRP before any of them even rolled off the factory floor. And they just kind of keep going up. And like I said, they're really fun, and it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm speculating that the people that earn enough money to buy these are so busy working, they don't take the time to drive these in the dirt. And also, the other thing with this is it's so expensive that if you slide it into a tree on a logging road, you've suddenly just decimated your $300,000 investment. So that is the problem, the Achilles heel of these rally supercars. They're awesome, but you need to be extremely wealthy to really drive the shit out of them.
Yeah, to be able to wad
by
one.
the way, Nate H got a Yahtzee, so congrats to Nate. Good job,
all
man.
right.
Deeb, I interrupted you. It looks like you wanted to interject there before we move on. No?
No, we're good.
All right, we're moving on. All right, let us know what you guys think of the results on that Dakar. Never go full Dakar. What's the next car on the list?
One last one, Zach, and I'm pandering to myself here as I represented this listing. It is a modified 1967 BMW 1602. This car is a former vintage racer up here in Northern California with the CSRG. This car is basically a 20-year veteran from around 2000 up until, let's say, 2020. Very cool car. It is a black plate, round taillight, built motor, roll bar, absolutely beautiful developed suspension, big fuel cell, great grabby little brakes. This car is an alumni listing. The seller having tried to sell it himself on Bring a Trailer back in 2022 where it failed to sell. And then I listed it last month. The car ran, it got to a good number. At the hammer, our winning bidder did not perform. So we discussed with JP, and he said, just rerun it on BAT right now. So that's what we did just about a month later. And again, running no reserve as an alumni listing. This former vintage racer is now got some more streetable Recaro seats. It still uses a key and you can lock the door. So this car is leaning towards the street, but it is still a vintage racer. So without further ado, we find out from classic.com that the average selling price of a 1602 race car is $30,000. A street car is just $20,000. I recused myself from bidding because I listed this car for my client, so I stayed out of the fray. JP, your bid was $24,500, and Ryan Friedman, who joined us from Friedman Motor Cars, he had a laugh at the idea that this car would transact for $20,000, implying that some of the cars he transacts have $20,000 to $30,000 wheel material options. In other words, you can get magnesium wheels on some of these supercars for $30,000. What do you care about 20, for a whole car that would be this much fun? So Zach, any love for the old 2002 1600 platform? And what do you think this former vintage racer would net on Bring a Trailer running no reserve just the other day? Second bite of the apple in 2 months.
I mean, the pricing these is really hard because the community that is passionate about them, they know engine builders, they know body shops, they know suspension engineers. Like, I feel like you have to be really well versed in that world to price it accurately, but that means that someone could scoop an awesome deal. This looks like a ton of fun. I have no idea what it's worth. Some of the 2002s are worth tons of money when they barely run. Might be worth less. This looks so rad. If this went for under 20, I'll be mad I didn't know about it, honestly. This is super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's worth 32.
32. I wish you were bidding. It would have been great to have you in the fray. JP, our car did well. We did get up to, what was our final bid count as I review? Just 11 bids. It is still difficult to go right back to market with the same car and the same assets, but it was no fault of our seller or the cars that the previous winner did not perform. His bid at that time was $21,500. This second turn, JP, we hit $20,000. Basically, the car was building up, and it got to about $16,000 just as the clock was about to start timing down. And then the winning bidder came in with a $4,000 punch up to $20,000, and nobody challenged him once the clock reduced down. My seller is happy that we got $20,000 out of the car. I agree with Zach, though. It's a screaming deal when you consider how fun and how pretty the car is in that they call it Tampico. And apparently there are a lot of beiges in BMW's history. There was tons of chat about, is it Nevada or is it Sahara? And then, it's riveted onto the car that it's Tampico, but there's quite a few little colors that are similar to that. But, man, it looks good in that colorway. JP, I know you actually really like this car. I only wish you would have gotten to drive it before it goes away. Any thoughts on that result?
I'm like Zach again. I wish I would have been paying attention. I may have bid on this thing. That is such a good deal for such a great entryway into the classic car world. I don't know if you could possibly do better at $20,000. Zach, what do you think of the result?
I think it's a great deal. I have a friend with a 2002 that looks like a heap but drives really well. I've got a friend that has one that he's probably spent six figures on. Both of them are incredibly rewarding to drive. So whoever bought this is going to have a great time. You have that old school like street cred with it, but it's going to have great driving dynamics, unlike a classic muscle car or something like that. I just think these are a really friendly thing, and I think it's cheaper than like a Datsun 510 if those are still priced as high as they were a few years ago. So
and you had mentioned about that Dakar, the idea of taking that thing off road and having a mishap, and you're destroying a $300,000 plus car. This car, there's just no liability out there. You're just running around this thing. You can go be a maniac and you can slide off the mountain, assuming you don't die. And we're certainly not recommending that. Always drive within your limits and in the speed limit. But yeah, I mean, you can have a lot of fun with this car and break it, and who the hell cares? It's not going to be like, you blow a Porsche motor and it's like the price of the car. All right, well bought.
JP,
lucky buyer. Go for it, buddy.
JP, respect the crest.
Yeah, true. All right. It's time for a quick break. We are going to be right back with Zach is going to stick around, and we've got all new predictions right after this. We got a commercial somewhere.
Hey guys, Vegas Auto Fest, presented by Lamborghini Las Vegas and Audi Henderson, is the most Vegas car show of the year. And it's happening at Red Rock Country Club, September 13th. Cars, food, music, showgirls, and amazing prizes. Tickets start at just $20. Kids under 16 are free.
See you at Vegas Auto Fest 2025.
Vegas Auto Fest is September 13th at the Red Rock Country Club, presented by Lamborghini Las Vegas and Audi Henderson.
Vegas Auto Fest, the drivers are coming.
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair.
Cool.
All right, we are back. We're looking at our Smith's Aviera watch going. It is time for predictions. This is an exciting show. If you're just now joining us, look at that. Look who's hanging out with us in the middle from the Smoking Tires. Zack Klapman's here. This is good stuff. We've got some good bids. Zack, you sticking around? You didn't take off during the break. We were a little worried.
No, I didn't run. The door's locked from the outside. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I know. We have our nerd herds doing nerds work.
God's work.
Yeah, well, Zack, is there any chance we could get you to Las Vegas on the 13th? That's not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Yeah.
You got to come out to Vegas Auto Fest.
I definitely cannot make that on such short notice.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. We'll send you a ticket from Spirit Airline. It'll be great. All right. Well, maybe next year, right?
Yeah.
School bus of the sky.
That is correct. Okay. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We are getting to the predictions. I already teed up the next car. I screwed it up there. There it is. Deeb, tell us what this is. Let's go for it.
All right, JP, feast your eyes on this 2009 Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren that is one of the Stirling Moss examples. JP, this car was just too cool not to review because we saw a similar car to this on the ground in the pits at Laguna Seca during Car Week. You and I walked right by this, one of these cars. And JP, at that time, I would have whispered to you that I think they made 3 to 8 of these cars. And boy, would I have been wrong. Apparently, Mercedes-Benz found 75 takers of these cars back in the early or late aughts, I should say. Limited to just 75 examples. I would invert that and say, can you believe they sold 75 examples of this car to unsuspecting billionaires, who just thought this was the coolest thing ever? Listen, Ferrari have tried to do something similar with the Monza, and then McLaren tried to do something similar with the Elva, and they struggled to sell their anticipated production run of these complete JP roadster cars that don't even have a windshield. I mean, this is a car you ultimately could not drive on the freeway without wearing a full face helmet with the shield down, just like a motorcycle racer. I mean, imagine being behind a car on the freeway in Vegas in 100-degree heat, doing 85 to 100 miles an hour, and the car in front of you just rolled up one little teeny tiny stone and it came right for your cheekbone. I mean, you just cannot drive this car without the full face helmet. That being said, people love limited editions, and these cars bring stupid money. The big thing we're going to talk about, JP, is not really the rarity of this car, nor the condition, which seems to be as new as presented in these photos because it has just 600 miles. That's 971 kilometers on the odometer. But the big thing, JP, is that Pete Car Market found a car to list for free, free inventory, out of Lengrich, Nordrhein, Westfalen, Germany. This car is not on our shores, and just the same reason we were talking about that poor little 997.2 C4S that was up in Canada, where you could almost see it from your bedroom, JP. If you get up real early in the morning before the haze starts, you can see Canada from Vegas. You could almost see that car just sitting there waiting to be plucked by an American and brought across the border and into our country. This car is in Germany. That's a long swim, JP. And so this car is DOA. And again, we have to ask the question, why is P-Car Market listing these things? I mean, do they have buyers that are buying these cars in euros? And if that's the case, why not follow suit to bring a trailer and list the car in euros? Because you are telling everybody you intend for the car to be marketed in America to an international audience. The car is in Germany. It's going to sell within the EU, and they don't have to deal with the tariffs. But the idea of putting a dollar sign on the bid mark, thinking that somebody's going to buy this car for a retail number and pay the tariffs, honey, there's 75 of them. It ain't that rare. So this is a weird one, JP. It just kind of makes you laugh. Stunning car, incredible rarity. I don't know if it's for everybody, but the fact that it's on PCAR, the fact that it's in Germany, this is, as we say, peeing in the wind. JP, where you at on the SLR McLaren Stirling Moss in Germany?
I think the seller found the right platform, actually, in this particular case. It's not a good match, the car for the platform, but the seller and this platform seem perfectly matched, because folks have asked this seller in the comments 3 separate times about the duties and the imports and the tariffs, and they've completely avoided the question. They haven't answered anything. They've talked about all kinds of other stuff, but even though people keep asking over and over and over again, they're like, nothing to see here. If we ignore it, it's not happening. And of course, other people in the comments are saying it's 25% and answering the questions for them. But I think this is an awful seller, and they really are in the right place. Zach, what do you think of this car and this listing? Remember, we're not ready for a number yet. We'll let you go last.
Well, these cars, it's just art. I think it's art. It's evocative of a past era. I think it grabbed everybody's attention. This was the kind of first mover advantage compared to something like the Elva or the Monza. And when I look at them, I go, that looks cool. But I've seen someone driving a Monza on the road before with the helmet, and no one looks dorkier. Like, it's a strange look. It's something that was pulled from a racetrack in the 50s, but suddenly you're on a modern road and it's difficult to use. I mean, 600 miles in this with a helmet on, it's like 12,000 miles in dog years or something like that, because you're rocking a helmet the whole time. So I think they look stunning. I think people saw them. They thought it was just art that you could start up, but I think it's a hard sell. And now with the sellers, they're across the seas, so then the market's smaller, of course. No one knows what the tariff's going to be on it. I mean, I think it's going to be really hard to sell. They're cool. They look cool, but then when you sit in it, you look ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they originally had one on the cover of some magazine. It had some guy with the helmet, and he had the nerd glasses like mine underneath the helmet. There's nothing dorky, or look at no girls are like, oh, look at that guy's really cool. And come on, you buy a car like this, it's to look cool, and you're completely defeating the purpose. Deeb, what's it going to bring?
Yeah, JP, this is the ultimate car to drive around Monaco during the Grand Prix weekend, because you can never get, faster than 45 miles an hour. And while you're wearing your Brioni jacket and your little kerchief, everybody can see you in whatever supermodel you've got. That would be the ultimate flex. JP, Classic.com tells us that the 2 or 3 Stirling Mosses that have sold in the secondary market average out to be about $3.5 million. This car is definitely strong in the secondary market, and McLaren SLRs in general have held their own, and the 722s continue to climb, and some of those have even broken $1 million all by themselves, both the coupes and the roadsters. That being said, JP, this one has less than 1,000 kilometers on the odometer. I have a sneaky suspicion that the seller of this car is hunting or hoping for $4 million. JP, my bid on this car, let's see, it's currently sitting at $2 million on 12 bids, and it's got 2 days to go until it closes. JP, my bid on this car is going to come up to $2.9 million, but I think it'll fail to sell at that number, and it'll wind up in the deal paying for like $3,999,000. And I think we're going to be way too far apart to transact. Listen, weirder things have happened than PCAR Market pulling a rabbit out of their, oyster bay, if you know what I'm talking about. This would be one of the weirdest if they get this car to transact, but I think it's going to fall short of the $3 million watermark. And I think the tariffs are going to prevent it from selling no matter what the ask is when it ultimately winds up in marketplace. JP, it's at $2 million now. You got 2 days to go. I say 2.9 to you. What's your bid?
Yeah, I mean, if it got to the number you think it's trying to reach, if it got to $4 million, you realize that's at 25% for the tariff. That'd be $1 million on top of it. That's just mind-boggling, right? I mean, I can't even imagine stroking that jack. I don't think, I think the people who are bidding are just bidding to be on the list of people that P-Car Market is ultimately going to call when the auction fails to sell, and they just want to be people that are like, hey, we're going to have this conversation, because P-Car Market is going to call everyone who bid and try to get them to buy the car. Call it $2.5 million, and of course it fails to sell. I'll remind you, Michael Deeb, that I owned a car much like this. For quite a few years, and it was my favorite car in the world. It was a Volkswagen Thing, and you put the windshield down, drove it around. It was great. It's exactly like
it's
this
like
car.
It's like looking in the mirror.
I mean, really, I can't. I was like, I had to like, oh, that's not my Volkswagen. Zach, what do you think this car is going to bring?
Okay, well, first of all, my initial guess when we were talking about it was going to be so far under, it's embarrassing. I was like, this should be like $500,000 because no one wants to drive it or use it. Now, when you mentioned the average, I realized how I'm just really out of touch with billionaires is what it is. So I'll go over, and I think there are people that the tariffs won't matter to them, or they're not in the United States. So maybe someone goes 3.1 and they send it to Singapore or something like that. Someone who's been waiting for this Picasso. I'll go that.
Good strategy, Zach. You might get a Yahtzee at that number. You're right in the hunt, I think. So this will be an interesting result no matter what. And Zach, I could not agree with you more. There are some cars that are created just to lust after, form and function and all the artistic lines that went into this. The question I would really like to know, having been a fan of Grand Prix racing, did Stirling Moss like the car? Could you get inside his head and he goes like, or over a pint in his hometown in England somewhere one night, would he go, what do you think of the Stirling Moss SLR? And I would love to know if he thought this was an ugly POS or if he was truly impressed with it. So there you go. JP,
what's that? You know that grating right there that the air actually goes through that, unlike the OnlyFans Bravest. Just wanted to say that. All right, Deeb, what's the next car? What do we got?
Okay, this one is definitely a poser. Somebody recreated a Porsche 962, gave it a 3-liter twin turbocharged motor, avoided putting a livery of every car that has ever been on here that you and I agreed should have had a livery. It should have been this car, but somehow became a premium listing as it is running out of Issaquah, Washington. JP, built between 2010 and 2024. Zach, the first time I tried to say it, I said Issaquah, and JP fell out of his chair laughing. Issaquah, Washington. But this car was transacted back in December. Actually, it was just listed on Bring a Trailer back in December of 2015 before it was an auction site. That person bought it. And then finished building the car. The car is now complete and comes to market as a running project. So a couple things, JP. In the comments, thank you for the notes to our bid turn. In the comments, this car is kind of getting crushed because although we all know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that this is a recreation, the bodywork has so many liberties that it's not a faithful recreation. The second question that sort of comes to mind is, could you take a car like this and perhaps go vintage racing in it? I don't ultimately know the answer to that, but my knee-jerk reaction as being a big fan of racing is that it probably wouldn't because it doesn't have a correct drivetrain. The motor that's in this, JP, is an early non-intercooled turbocharged 3-liter 930 motor, and that would not have been the correct motor that this car would have raced with in period. So by that rationale, I think that this car would not be allowed into race. I could be wrong, and there could be all kinds of regional venues that would be like, hey, we'd just love to have that thing on track, that might say yes. But my knee-jerk reaction is, without the correct drivetrain, the answer would be no, and you could park it in the pits and lean on it and have your OnlyFans girl take some photo shoot. But JP, this car is still, there's no way you don't look at it and go, ooh, it's really cool. And somehow you see that shape and you think, oh my God, I could buy one without having to spend $1 million. And somebody might throw their hat in the ring. That seat, JP, I'm going to go out on record and say looks very uncomfortable. What do you think, John? Rob me a buyer for this or what?
Yeah, no way. I mean, this car is really neat, but who, like you said, who wants this? Like, who's going to what is the use case for this car? You can't take your girl out. Cars and coffee is going to be tough. You're driving on the wrong side. You can't vintage race it. I mean, it's just for the amount of money, it seems like the amount of people that would be interested in something like this, it sure is cool. If it goes for a low amount of money, it's a great bang for the buck, but I just suspect the seller wants more. Zach, what do you think of this thing?
I completely agree with you. I think I'm trying to be respectful to the person who built it. You know,
oh God, please don't.
Build
He
what
clearly
you like,
hasn't seen
but
the show.
okay, but as you said, I mean, you did a replica of a car, but it's not a faithful replica. It's a pretty obscure replica car. You can't go racing in it. Is the engineering any good? Is the structure any good? I mean, I don't know. Maybe if a reputable company built the chassis, then at least you know that the dynamics will be true to 962, which is, you know, crazy thing to drive, but also successful. It'll be fast enough, sure, but what do you do with it? And it's not like a modern exotic where it's easy to drive. Like, this is going to be difficult to drive, unraceable. I think one of the only smart things they did is not put a livery on it, because then I think one, it looks good in white, but also you're leaving that canvas up to the buyer. Because if you put a livery on it that you think is awesome, that's one more thing you have to convince a buyer is also a smart idea. And this car is so plentiful with mistakes. This is like a game of moldy hot potato, in my point. I just don't know what you do with it other than show up to places and disappoint folks that it's not real. And unlike like Kit Cobras, I'm biased, my family built one, but that's a shape and a car that the universe has decided it's okay to replicate. Everyone just goes, the real ones are too expensive, but we like seeing them around. But this is just a weird idea. And I think someone had a dream and they really hope someone else has the same dream.
Right. All right, Deeb, what's it going to bring?
All right, JP, our car closes tomorrow. It is currently sitting at $150,000 on just 3 bids. Not a lot of action. JP, I don't know that this car would be street legal anywhere, but even if it were, you could not drive it to Cars and Coffee in your favorite Starbucks parking lot, because that car won't go up the driveway unless you take that front clip off. So use case is everything here. And the guy who has a condo at what's the place in New York,
Spring
and
Mountain,
the one in Thermal and all this,
Thermal.
Spring Mountain, these guys, most of those guys could afford a real one, because 962s are not break the bank crazy expensive like, say, a Stirling Moss. You can get them, according to our friends at classic.com, you could buy a real 962 for about $1.1 million. So why would you drop $500,000 on this, or 400,000 or 300,000? So JP, my bid for this car is going to be 200,000, 962, and say there might be 3 more people out there that want this thing. But I don't even feel confident of that. I'm certain I'm going to go over, but I'm going to go over hopefully by not too much. I bet it gets close to 200 and doesn't break it. But my bid, JP, $200,962. It's at 150 now. Closes tomorrow. Where you at?
Closes tomorrow, yeah. So, I mean, look, this thing is achingly cool looking. I'll give it that. If the seat was on the left side, I think there's a lot more people that are like, yeah, heck yeah, let's go out and club race in this thing. It's just, I'm shocked that it's even at 150. And we've seen a lot of really cool replicas. We've seen 917 replicas with great powertrains. We've seen 904 replicas do poorly lately. I think that Beck 904 just hit the market again and brought like $20,000 fewer than the last time it sold just like 6 months ago, and it failed to sell. So these replicas are not pulling in the money. The amount of money it would cost to build something like this, probably in the neighborhood of $300,000, but you're not getting that back. No chance in hell. I'll creep it up there. I mean, it is BAT, and we always see a lot of action at the end. A lot of times we see the number double in the last 24 hours, but I just don't see that happening here. I'll give it 190. Let's see here. Let's go 192,962, and I'll hand it to Zach.
And Zach, JP mentioned that it's right-hand drive, but the shifter is on the right side of the driver's knee. So it is definitely built for an American, despite the wheel being on the wrong side. Great pickup, JP. Zach, where are you at on the 962 recreation?
I'm going to go 184. It's a pretty expensive way to live out your fantasy of being any of these folks, like from back then, who am I thinking of? I don't know, any of the Porsche factory drivers that used to run these kinds of things. But such a weird thing.
Derek Bell.
Well, Philip
Yeah.
Craig is saying he does kind of smell a shill bid here. I mean, what was if the bid is at? We've got 3 bids, and so the top bid right now is 150. What was the previous bid?
I just closed it.
I'm scrolling through it and I can't freaking find it. There's a ton of photos here. This is actually, that's a very good detail, very good question by Philip here. Geez, I'm scrolling the second page here. Let's I can show you guys here. I'm trying to find the bids before seller. Okay, so U.S. bid
There's your
is 150. That's the 150 right there. So there's been a lot of
There you
chatter.
go.
So it went from 24,677 to 150. I'm feeling really good about Zach's bid. I think
my bid's too high. Wow.
Well, but it's already at 150, so you're going to win between the 3 of us because you're the low bidder there. But had we looked at this, I would have maybe even said 150 is it. So that's a very good pickup by Philip. So good take. I think that's a shill bid. I think that's protection. I think someone's coming in there and going, okay, we got to try to prime this pump. That's a buddy of the owner. I'm purely speculating. We have nothing to substantiate that theory, and it is just a theory, but I think that's probably a pretty sound idea. All right, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We still have a couple more cars to go and not a lot of time. What do we got, Deeb? What's the next one?
All right, JP, there is a gorgeous 1974 Ford Bronco Ranger with a 302 cubic inch V8 and a 3-speed automatic that is running as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer right now. JP, I just saw this light green metallic colorway with the cream and red trim, and the Ford is written in red, and the hubcap centers are red. Green and red are complementary colors, and JP, this car just seemed to pop off of the pages, even though the photos are not a great quality and certainly taken with too high of a sun. There's something about the colorway of this Ford that made me stop and pause and take a closer look. Out of Stratham, New Hampshire, on a clean Arizona title. It comes also with a deluxe Marty report, which is a great way to understand the provenance of your Ford product, especially something from the early 70s. This car sold on Bring a Trailer back in April of 2022, JP. And at that time, you remember in 2022, people were spending like crazy. This car sold for $81,000. Then that guy sold it back in May of 2024. That's before last summer, we should say. JP, at that time, as an alumni listing, the car sold for just $76,000. The car comes back to market now, JP, and it closes tomorrow. I'm just going to roll right into the bids because we're running out of time here. Our car is currently sitting at $55,000, and it comes to us by way of just 7 bids. I know Broncos have cooled off a little bit, as a lot of these project Broncos that got started with all that crazy COVID money are now coming to market. And I think the market is sort of saturated with both original Broncos and modified Broncos. And I think there's just too much Bronco for the market to absorb. That being said, this one looks really nice. And for whatever reason, maybe I'm bidding with my heart, JP, I think this one's going to do well. So again, the last time it sold, which was last year, it was only $76,000. JPClassic.com tells us that the Bronco with a 302, not the straight 6, but with the V8, typically brings 87 in the secondary market. I like this car enough to go 1,000 over that. My bid to you, from 55 tomorrow to $88,000. JP, 88 grand to you. It's sitting at 55.
Yeah, I just don't think it has any chance of that. The colorway here is the color of my childhood, from all the furniture in our house to the rugs, the appliances, my corduroy pants, everything was this colorway. So I do love it, being the age that I am, but I don't really want it. A 3-speed does not get me excited. I think this thing comes 10,000 short of what it sold for last time. I'm going to say $66,000 and hand it off to Zach. What do you think?
I'll go 62. I think there's too many. It is gorgeous, and for the right person will be really excited about this thing. But there's just too many Broncos out there with more power, different wheel, different style. This is very friendly, and that's actually refreshing to see. But low power, it's the wrong transmission. It's going to be difficult to drive, and I think more people are recognizing that, and that along with economic uncertainty is probably why it's softening.
JP, we need to put a bid nerd sticker on that thing. Let me ask you guys this. At 66 and 62,000 respectively, do you think it sells at your number, or do you think it's an FTS?
Yeah, that's tough. That's a good question. It depends on whether or not the seller is reasonable and what does BAT think. I doubt that they think that this thing is worth what it sold for last time, so I'm guessing that their reserve is probably somewhere in the high 60s. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I think the person just wants to get rid of it. It sounds like it's getting passed around by people who get excited by a shiny thing that looks like a great beach car, and then the year later they realize how slow it is, and they go, never mind. And so I think it'll just keep getting kicked down.
That's definitely where it
what do you think, Zach?
Is a beach town like Nantucket or something
like
up in Maine.
Santa Cruz. Like
Yeah.
Santa Cruz.
Or
I was
Santa
just
Cruz,
going to say, this needs to be
this
parked
is very
out of Zach's.
This is Hamptons, Malibu, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Right
there you go. Bingo.
All right, guys. We still have a couple more cars. Let's see if we can rock it. Let's do a speed round.
JP, let's do these cars together because there are a couple of period-correct Mercedes. We are going to juxtapose a 1988 Mercedes-Benz 560 SL with just 26,000 miles on the odometer. 1989 would have been the last year of the the R107 platform. So a car that they made from the early 70s all the way through the late 80s, JP, without any body changes at all. This was the best motor that you could get. The car looks to be in very nice condition. It was a Bay Area car originally. It is currently out of Pennsylvania, showing, again, just 26,000 miles. There was a discrepancy about the mileage on the Carfax, but it looks, by all accounts, to be just a simple, honest mistake. JP, on the other hand, we have a 1991 Mercedes-Benz 420 SEL. The SEL is the long wheelbase. The 420 is the smaller of the two V8s that you could have had. And this car has just 31,000 miles on the odometer. JP, the bid turn says that this car in this colorway looks to be in doctor spec and wondered why we were even bothering with it. This car is running no reserve, but take a closer look, JP, and it turns out at one point this car had been involved in an accident, and the damage was so severe that they salvaged it. So this is on a California salvage title certificate, which is kind of a bummer because it looks like they put it back. Humpty Dumpty and all the king's horses and all the king's men seem to put this thing back together. It looks to be in spectacular condition. This car probably won't ring the bell for anywhere near the kind of money the SL would bring. But JP, this was sort of the last great era of Mercedes-Benz building by quality a more dominant car than all of their competitors from around the world. You get into the late 90s and the playing field was officially leveled. But at this time, these cars were built to a higher standard than anything else. It's amazing that they're so soft in the secondary market. So, John, should we just jump in with numbers and go around the room?
Yep.
Okay. So the Mercedes-Benz 560 SL out of Ridgeville, Pennsylvania, is currently sitting at $21,500, and it closes tomorrow. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that the 560 SL is typically a $31,000 car in the secondary market. JP, the market is saturated with SLs. There's probably 80 of these for sale in the classified ads as we speak. So, John, my bid on this is just going to be a little bit bearish to the Classic average. I'm sure this guy is hoping it'll bring 40, but I don't even know if he'll crack 30 because finding a red 560 SL is not a difficult thing at all. My bid, just $29,560. JP, where are you at on this car? It's currently at $21,500 and it closes tomorrow.
It's after Labor Day. It's convertible, and these are not super hot. I love the car. It's beautiful. But, yeah, I'm going to go 27,000 and hand it off to Zach. What do you think?
I'll go 30K.
Going 30K.
30K.
You think it's gonna bump? Why are you so confident? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the pictures are a little grainy, but I think they're clean. I think it's one of the best looking cars ever. Really, I think they're fantastic. And the difference of 28, 30. So if someone's in a bidding war at 28, they're gonna go and they're gonna click the button. So I think our pricing is very tight, but I think it'll go a little over.
All right, now let's go back to the what is it? The SEL.
The SEL, JPR 1991 Mercedes-Benz 420 SEL is in San Fernando, California with just 31,000 miles. This car is running no reserve. It does not hammer for 2 days, but it's currently sitting at $6,500. That comes to us by way of 17 bids. So despite this salvage title, this car is getting quite a bit of action. The values for these in the secondary market are a different story. It's the inverse. Classic.com tells us that the 420 SEL is just a $13,000 car in the secondary market. 1991 JP, also the last year that this car was made before the new platform came out. John, I would normally say that a 420 SEL is just an $8,000 car, but this car has low miles, and despite having been in an accident, it looks to be in exceptional condition. I think this car will come close to the average. My bid, $11,420. 2 days to go, JP. It's sitting at 16. Where you at?
I'm going to go
sorry,
10.
sitting.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sitting what?
Sitting at 6,500. It's sitting at
The
6,000.
salvage on these, it depends on when the salvage was. I think the salvage was quite a while ago. These were like $3,000 cars. You get a dent in the bumper, and that salvages the car. So nowadays it would take a lot to salvage this because these are worth probably $25,000 if it didn't have that problem. With this kind of miles and how beautiful it looks as far as condition, I actually really like these. What is it? Arrested Development Bluth car. But I don't think it's going to do well because of that salvage. I'm going to say 10-5. Hand it to Zach. What do you think?
I was gonna say 10-8. My friend of mine bought
There you go.
one very similar to this. It was clean, and the pricing was shocking. Like, this is shocking value. If you need something to road trip, these are out there for low money. It's incredible.
It could be the last car you ever buy too if you wanted it to. I mean, they just last
True.
with 30-something thousand miles. You could drive this to the apocalypse. All right, that's it, guys. Zach, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Where can we find you and follow you and all the things?
Thank you very much for having me. The Smoking Tire, we got car reviews up there, the Smoking Tire podcast, and then I have a game show channel, Zack Klapman's Driver's Test. So we got new episodes every month.
We'll look for your invites sometime soon. I'm sure that's happening. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. We will see you Sunday night. Bye, everybody.